Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday. And welcome to the Department of Family and Sports Services 2017 Out of School Time Technical Assistance Session. Hi, we think, as always, it's so impersonal to do these webinars without you at least seeing us, those of you who can see us. So, Flash, we're on camera. Hi, I'm Earlene.
I'm Caesar.
Julia.
All right, and then we are supported by our technical assistance guru and a bunch of other things. Victor, pop your head in. There's his hand. Okay, so now we'll get on with the business of the webinar. Thank you for joining us. So we are sharing our new DSS mission with everyone. We think it really does show who we are and what we do. And our commissioner has actually put out a lot of information about our new strategic planning, as well as our new mission. So allow me to share it with you, which is working with community partners. We connect with Chicago residents and families to resources that build stability, support their well-being, and empower them to thrive. And you truly are our community partners. So the Youth Services Division is committed to creating meaningful and innovative youth programming which offers youth throughout the city of Chicago the opportunity to participate in high-quality, structured programs in safe environments that build success in school and prepare youth for bright futures. And so we, as a Youth Services Division, has changed our portfolio, but through all three of our portfolios, which are enrichment, prevention and prevention and intervention strategies, it's new, and youth employment, we strive to offer our youth high-quality structured programs in safe environments. So the enrichment portfolio is managed by myself, Earlene Whitfield Alexander, and it is supported by our youth services coordinators, Karen Nolan and Caesar Garza. So we have three types of program models in this portfolio: out of school time, Chicago Housing Authority, Project Innovation. As you noticed, we no longer have behavioral health services, intensive youth services, or mentoring. Those three program models are now in prevention and intervention strategies. Those three models seek to serve acutely at-risk youth. And Kia Coleman, who is the manager of that particular portfolio, will be reaching out to release an RFP in those three program models in July. Later this year. Julia has just flagged me. So today we will talk about the OST out of school time RFP, which was released last week. In this portfolio, we serve approximately 18,799 youth between the ages of 6 to 24. Our budget is $6,935,579. And we fund in this OST program between, our ranges are between $20,000 and $85,000 per year. And this is for out of school time. Our targeted age groups are 6 to 24. We break them down in the following 5 categories: 6 to 9, 10 to 12, 13 to 15, 16 to 18, and 19 to 24, and all curriculum that addresses these age groups must be age appropriate. Program scheduling has not changed. Year-round, school year only, school-based, summer only, summer and school breaks, project-based sessions. So let me just break down school year only for a minute, because we know what year-round is. You operate, our calendar year is from January 1 to December 31. So you operate programs from the calendar year, January to December. School year, of course, is from August to June or September to June, depending on where your youth and your program operates. And then school year only, school-based, is only during the times that school is open. Some of our programs that operate school year only operate during the school year, but are open because they run their programs out of their facility, so they're able to offer programs when the school is closed. School year only, school-based, only operates in school and is closed when school is closed. Summer only is 6 days, 6 to 8 weeks. Sometimes our programs extend longer. It's 5 days per week, and it's 6 hours per day. Summer and school breaks, you operate during the vacation period. So if school is out during the spring break or winter break, summer and school breaks will cover those programs and that opportunity, so youth have a full option of having more enrichment activities. And school-based sessions are if you are you want to run somewhere between a 9 and a 10-week session twice a year. You target a population between 10 and 18 years old, and in order to request this funding, you must be a current out-of-school time agency, and that qualifies you to request school-based sessions or project-based sessions. And so this project-based session is an enhancement opportunity. So if you are running some sort of dance program and you want to bring in a special type of dance or another type of dance instructor, then for another 9 or 10 weeks to augment your program, you can ask for additional funding through the project-based session. So what do we do? So we provide enrichment activities for youth when they are not in school. So that covers, again, after school, summer, and breaks. And you have like subcategories. So you have options. You can focus your out-of-school time program on academic support, art, cultural activities, health, and fitness. The focus should be skill building, success in school, social emotional development, leadership, and provide some sort of community awareness. We're also looking at some of our programs are providing workforce skills preparation and exploration, career preparation, and support for school re-engagement. So if you have, I'll give you an example. We recently funded a program who is offering youth food service skills with the ability to obtain their a food certificate, and they've gotten one-on-one experience working with chefs and working in a restaurant management environment. Programs can operate not only in schools but in community centers as well. We require that you operate a minimum of 12 hours per week and that you maintain a daily average attendance of 80%. So we conduct something that's called a performance rating. The performance rating is based on how you are managing your program, if your staff are in compliance, and if your agency is in fiscal compliance. We review your program on a quarterly basis, and then twice a year we release where your agency currently stands as it relates to your performance for that 6-month period, and then we provide another response 6 months after that. So under program management, we're looking to make sure that you are setting your program up where youth are in the program, youth are enrolled in the program, youth are meeting the 80% daily average attendance. You are using our CitySpan database on a regular basis. Under staff compliance, we're looking to make sure that your staff has all of the CPR and first aid certifications, that you have your fingerprint, your background checks, your mandated reporter, those types of staff requirements. And under the fiscal compliance, we're looking to make sure that you are vouchering on a monthly basis, that you are at the percentage rate that's outlined in the work plan. So the first quarter, we expect you to be at 25% of expending your dollars. By the time December rolls around, we're looking at you to be somewhere around 75%. You're just kind of cleaning up what you did not capture in your budget revision. And in January, we expect that you have captured all of your dollars. And so your performance rating does determine how we fund you or not, or possibly reduce or even increase your funding. All of those are possibilities. So when you submit your budget application in your RFP, we're looking for fiscal soundness. Does your budget make sense? Do you have the 15% match? Do you have no more than 40% of budget allocated to staff salaries? Your personnel budget, the number of positions, percentage of time spent on your on the program, the salaries, the job responsibilities need to be broken out, as well as the fringe benefits. And then the non-personnel would be your rent, your supplies, consultants, transportation, youth incentives. All of those things are under the non-personnel. Now, once you are funded, we will come back and do another type of TA session where Walter Brown, our supervisor of accounting, will come and share with you exactly what your budget should look like and what the expectation is. Most importantly, we do expect you to be able to sustain program operations for at least 2 months while we are taking you through the contractual execution period. So this is what we will be looking at when we begin to read and score your RFP. Keep in mind that there are 2 readers who actually read one RFP. We do this to make sure that there is objectivity while we are reading and scoring your document. And it does take us, it is a process for us to get through. Last year we had 196 OST applications submitted. Out of that we funded 189. So as we look at your how we score, we'll be looking at the previous program experience. So we want to know, did you demonstrate your knowledge of the target population that we are actually serving? And we're looking at you having at least 2 years of experience providing similar services to the proposed program. You don't have to have 2 years experience with us, but 2 years experience in general working with the population that we are asking you to serve. We're looking for program design. You know, your ability to address the key elements that's outlined in the proposed RFP model that we released on Friday. Do you have the administrative and fiscal capacity in order to, you know, operate the program? And so under that, we'll be looking at things like Are you able to maintain the appropriate documentation and policies that protect your youth as well as your agency? Do you demonstrate fiscal soundness? Those are the type of things that we'll be looking for under administrative and fiscal capacity. And as it relates to the budget, did you adhere to the requirements that are outlined in the RFP? And, you know, for more detailed information about the scoring criteria, it is in your RFP beginning on page 11. So here is the grant submission timeline. As you know, we released the RFP on May 26th. Today is June 2nd. We are in the process of the webinar. Cyber grants open on the 26th, so once we released it, you could go on, register, and begin to look at the requirements and what the system actually looked like. Some of you are familiar. Those of you if you're having any issues right now with registration, please reach out to us. Please don't wait to the last minute to begin to put your information in the system. It will close on June 21st at 12 noon. Please do not wait till the last minute or the last day. On June 21st, you may be just reading through your submission so you can submit in time. Applicants are notified of the funding recommendations after our mayor submits and gets the 2018 budget approved through City Council. And so even though we submit, you submit on 21st of June, that's the last day, it is a process. And that process where City Council, like right now, the budget is being put together and you know, components are being pushed in front of City Council. City Council doesn't generally approve the budget until around October. We usually don't get the go-ahead to move forward until November. And so that is why sometimes, well, most times, you don't get the information until around that time, whether or not your agency has been approved for funding. Our program year will begin January 1 and will end on January 31. This is 2018. Our sub-grant agreements are executed between the months of January and February and that should be 2018, I apologize. And we're looking at a 2-year funding of 2018 and 2019. So what you submit now and get approved now will be for the year 2018-2019, providing funding is available. And so there you have it, the enrichment portfolio, full of the youth that you serve throughout the communities in the city of Chicago. We appreciate your support. We appreciate you working with us. If you're new, we welcome you to join our portfolio. We have this year brought on new agencies, and we have lost some, but we brought on new ones, and we welcome everyone, and we look forward to another great programming years in 18 and 19, and of course in 2017. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me. Here is my email in case you don't have it. Any program questions, please reach out. I will respond generally within 24 hours. If you have any technical issues and any technical assistance, please reach out to Julia. Her email is on this slide as well. Now we will open up. The last part of this session will be for questions. I do see a few. And let me say that this session has been recorded, and we will also push out to all who have registered a copy of this PowerPoint. So questions, what do we have?
Does the program have to target all of the age groups mentioned, 6 to 24, or can you choose certain age groups to focus on?
So to answer that question, under targeted age groups, The age groups are broken down into 5 different sets of youth. So you could say, I want to work with youth between the ages of 6 to 9, and I'm going to work with a group between the ages of 10 and 12. And your curriculum and your RFP needs to address those particular age groups. On the work plan, what we do a lot of times, once we, you've been approved for funding, agencies have the opportunity to say, well, I've been funded for 45 youth, and I'm going to work with 26 to 9-year-olds, and I'm going to work with, another 5 of 12, 10 to 12, and the other 20 or whatever of 13 to 15-year-olds. So you do have that opportunity, and you do not have to submit 3 separate RFPs to address the 3 separate age groups.
Is there no percentage for admin on the budget?
The city allows for a 10% administration cost.
Is the 15% administrative cap the same as the match requirement?
No. The 15% match requirement is what you are going to put into the program, and it can be by way of in-kind, through staff, through other services, or it could be by way of money. It's up to you.
What are the hours requirement for the summer for year-round programming?
So for us, from January to June, you run the minimum of the 12 hours per week. In the summer, we require that you run programming for 5 days a week for 6 hours, because we want to take into consideration that parents may be working, and youth are now out of school, and so that increased dosage really helps them to have a very fulfilling and rewarding summer.
Do we request a number of beneficiaries for our OST grant, or will DFSS allocate quotas for each agency individually?
Okay, Dan, we are attempting to address your question, but I think we need clarity. We're going to take you off of youth and have you give us a little more detail about this question.
Sure. Hi. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So in years past, we've been funded for 30 youth in one of our sites in Uptown. We have a plan to expand our outreach to 2 additional sites. And so what I'm trying to find out is if we can use OST grant monies to fund some of the work we're doing in 2 additional neighborhoods as well as Uptown. So for instance, would we request $30,000 for 30 youth, or if I had 60 youth, would I request $60,000? Does that make sense?
Yep, it makes sense. So right, so that's what you would do. Our funding is $1,000 per youth. Mm-hmm. And so if you want to serve 60 youth, then you would ask for $60,000.
Okay, great.
And then you would talk about where you want to render those services.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay.
For a new program, if funding begins January 1, 2018, are school year programs expected to start midway through the 2018 school year, or in September 2018, with the beginning of the 2018-19 school year?
Yeah, I know that's always an issue because of how our calendar year runs from January to December. So this is the expectation. So here you go, Matt. When you are informed of whether or not you receive funding and you want to run a school year program, that means that you have identified the location, you have spoken to, you know, the school, and you've kind of like have people, you've got permission and you're all ready, and all you need to know is whether or not you're going to get the funding unless you're already there, right? And so you will begin recruiting, and you'll have a waiting list, and you'll be ready so that when January drops, that relationship is ready to move your program forward, and you will run your program from January to June. And then you will end in the summer, and you will pick that program up in September or August, depending on when that school opens, and run it until December.
Do we provide you a copy of the curriculum?
Not in the RFP. And so what is happening, we as a department are developing strategic plans, and we will be developing outcomes within our own particular programs in youth services. And so whatever you use as your curriculum, it's best that you have that information with you for documentation should it be required at any time.
What are the current performance rating evaluation grades? Exceed expectation, does not exist anymore, correct?
Great question, Margaret. We had moved to, and so what she's talking about is twice a year when we talked about the performance rating, we issued a meet or not meeting. And to be quite honest, we found that extremely difficult when we were making some decisions. And so we are moving to a 3 or 4 performance rating system again for 2018, probably for 2017. So you'll see it this year where we're going back. We used to have exceeds, meets, not meeting, and no, exceeds, meeting, needs improvement, and high risk. And those 4 categories actually worked. And it allowed us to work better with our agencies should they be running into any difficulty. It also allowed us to give our agencies whenever, and it's rare, but whenever we had extra dollars, we were able to increase someone's funding amount by anywhere between 3 and 5%, not a lot, but we were able to increase those agencies who had received exceeds for more than twice during the year. So we are moving back towards that. So you will see changes in our performance rating this year. Great question, Margaret. Thank you.
If we are doing a school-based program, can we submit for multiple schools in one proposal, or should we submit plans with each school individually?
Well, that depends on what you're asking for. If you're asking for $35,000 and you want to stretch that out to more than one school, absolutely not. And we really prefer that you take that one pot of funding and you use it at one location. So I think it's best for you to submit several proposals for different locations for the amount of money and the youth that you intend to serve.
Will this enrichment RFP replace the CDBG RFP?
So I'm glad we have a full audience because we have not received CDBG funding since 2013. In 2013, the mayor, Rahm Emanuel, moved youth services from CDBG funding, grant funding, to corporate funding. And in 2014, we began to embrace or use corporate funding. So what you see now is the CDGA system, which we're still under the CDGA system, but we no longer receive CDBG funding. All of our funding in youth is corporate. Yes, Julia is saying City of Chicago tax dollars. And so we appreciate you going through those red lights and not paying your meter. Just kidding.
Can you apply for project-based and year-round? If yes, is it two different applications?
Yes, it is. So if you are one of our current OST agencies in good standing, and you want to, and you just say you receive $54,000 for us, so you would submit your regular $54,000 request, unless you're asking for more money. And if you wanted to do project-based, you would request that in a separate proposal, a different application altogether. But you must be a currently funded, in good standing OST agency.
Can funds be used to provide stipends to youth?
In OST, we really don't give enough dollars for stipends, so I'm going to say no to that.
Does the budget numbers reflect both years or just 2018?
Good question, Claude. Just 2018. So what happens is that you will receive a contract for 2018, 2019, but it's contingent on there being funding for 2019, meaning the budget still has to go through approval in 2019 in order for you to receive funding. When you create your RFP for next year, it will only be for 1 year, from January 1, 2018 to December 31, 2018.
If we propose, say, 10 youth, 13 to 15, and 10 youth age 16 to 18, but ended up successfully recruiting 12 youth, 13 to 15, and 8 youth, 16 to 18, would this be okay so long as the total number of youth served was consistent with the project or the proposal/work plan?
Yes, I say that because sometimes we cannot always foresee how the recruitment will go and what group of youth will, actually be able to maintain the number that you submitted. And it's always good to do your recruitment and see what population in your community is more than likely able to show up in your program. But we know that things change, and no, we won't hold it against you. As long as you meet your funded number, we're good.
What is the minimum amount of time for a summer program? Number of weeks?
So we're looking at 6 to 8 weeks, ideally 8 weeks for us. And it always depends on when CPS closes school and when they're going to open. We had more difficulty with this when most of the schools were on a different tier of opening because we had charter schools and we had tier 1 schools and tier 2 schools. So now that pretty much everyone except for charter schools are open in September, we're looking at least, we would ideally, an ideal world, 8 weeks would be great because, again, youth would have more enrichment activities and more dosage of programming.
If you are working with young people, between the ages of 16 to 24 years old, providing job readiness and employment assistance by cohort, does that disrupt the 12-hour per week, 80% attendance requirement of the grant? Because there will be time between cohorts that there isn't any programming due to new enrolling for the next cohort.
Okay, so Tina, we do not do cohorts. We run strictly, if it's year-round, we run from January to December. We do not break out in cohorts. So that's never been an issue for us, and it wouldn't be an issue for us this round because we are expecting that on a weekly basis, you're providing a minimum of 12 hours of service, and you are going whatever that 12 hours looks like. Now, it could be Monday through Thursday, it could be Tuesday to Friday, but we do not, our program is not set up for cohorts. We do have other programming that's in our other cohort under Kia's prevention and intervention strategies program. There's cohorts in that. particular portfolio, and not all programs under her portfolio are in cohorts. I think it's, I know for a fact it's YWS and RISE, but no. So you don't have to worry about that.
Hello. My question is, can this grant be applied to new programming in an existing organization who is looking for expanding their reach? For example, a new site within the same neighborhood.
Yes. Yes to that question. Wait a minute, don't delete it yet. One of the things that we do, and we really did this year because we expanded our services to certain community areas where we didn't have programming, or we had very little programming. And so a lot of times what happens for us is that for whatever the reason, an agency may run into some fiscal difficulties, which may cause them to have to move to another location or shut down altogether. And what happens in that community is that now there is no program for those youth to receive services. So, you know, yes, we're always looking for new, innovative, exciting programming. And if you are in a neighborhood where there's, you know, another program, so it's open competition. And programs should be able to offer services. Maybe your program is different from the other program. Maybe the two programs can actually work together and enhance each other by the services that they serve, that they offer to the community. So clearly, yes, if you're looking to expand, expand. If you're looking to be in a new neighborhood, let us know what neighborhood that is, you know, as you write your RFP, and why, you know, that particular community needs the services that you seek to offer.
The PowerPoint breaks out budgets for salaries and fringe benefits. Can we pay our mentors via 1099 consultants and not break out the fringe benefits?
Yes, Ed. What you're speaking about is under non-personnel, and there is a section in non-personnel where you can pay consultants and technical assistants. And you would offer them a 1099. I'm sure they'll require that for their tax purposes.
Can each site and a multi-site agency apply individually?
Absolutely. We have Boys and Girls Club, we have the YMCA, we have Chicago Youth Centers, we have Chicago Youth Program, we have Youth Guidance. All of those particular agencies I named have multi-site funding, and each particular site can apply for their own separate funding because they better know what their needs are.
Is there a minimum number of days a week that a school year program must operate, or is there only the 12-hour-a-week requirement?
So we're looking at the 12-hour-a-week requirement. So we're looking at the 12-hour-a-week minimum, but we want doses to be spread out. So if you're thinking about doing a Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, that's 9 hours. If you're thinking about doing 4 hours and then try to break it down, that's not going to work. So Leah, when you, and all of you, when you look at your programming, look at least 4 days, a minimum of 4 days. When I send the PowerPoint out, I will clarify that and make sure that you see the number of days, and I'll also make sure that you see the cost per youth. Good question. Thank you.
Will names / agencies represented on the webinar be shared?
No.
We are submitting for school-based programming. Do we need to provide specific schools, or can we propose targeted neighborhoods allowing for flexibility, since so much can change between when we submit and when actual programming begins.
So let me say that you may not know what schools you're going to go in, but I need you to be clear on what targeted neighborhoods you're going to go to. Because when we select your program, we clearly look at communities, areas, what communities are saturated, which ones are not, what neighborhoods you're going to be serving. So yes, things can change, but you need to have an idea of the school, and you need to be clear on that community. Because just recently we we were able to provide additional funding and reselected based on those community areas. And when we spoke to the agencies, they had wanted to make some other type of changes, but we had to stick to our reasoning for going back and funding that particular program. So again, stick with your community area and your neighborhood, even though your school may change.
You said that admin is capped at 10%. The
Yes.
RFP says 15%. Is the RFP incorrect? Also, is that based on total budget or based on direct cost performance?
All right, let's check and see. So we'll check that, but it's 15% in the budget and it's 10% in the admin. And so we can clarify that and send out and get back to you, or you can use my email and we can let you know. But we so let me retract that. The RFP says 15% admin. I always thought we did 10%. So this is a surprise to me as well. So the RFP is correct. It's the 15% admin cap and 15% budget match as well.
Will this enrichment RFP replace CDGA corporate funding? I think we answered that one.
Let me just say that this is CDGA corporate funding. Walter, we are no longer, so CDGA, is the, CDGA is the type of application that is being released. And for us, it's not a grant. Our funding is corporate funding. So we still have programs that are under CDBG, such as our domestic violence. I think our seniors still get some CDBG funding. Some of our homeless programs still get CDBG funding, but youth is corporate only. Mm-hmm.
For the project-based funding, is the separate application still due on June 21st?
Yes, this is all of the funding that we talked about is a part of the RFP that was released on May 26th and due on June 21st at 12 noon.
To clarify, if we are planning on serving multi-schools, we should provide multiple submissions, but for multi-sites, one submission is okay?
So if you want to operate out of ABC school, and that school is in Logan Square, you would submit a program for ABC school in Logan Square under whatever your agency name is. That's one RFP. And then if you want to write another program for DEF, and that program is in South Shore, then you will write another RFP for DEF in South Shore under your agency's particular name. So multi-funding in multi-schools should be different sets of RFPs. So if you want to go to 3 different schools, you need to have 3 different RFPs. Why? Because you're probably going to be in 3 different agents, 3 different community areas, serving, and each community area should have either similar or the same need, but maybe you're going to serve 35 in one community area, maybe you're going to serve 35 in the other, maybe you're going to serve 45 in the other, maybe you're going to save 30 in another. You need 3 separate RFPs, or however many you're going to submit for those particular schools. So do not submit one RFP, say for $100,000 for 4 separate schools.
Can we write for a summer program and a school year only program? If so, should we submit 2 separate applications?
If you're summer only, I need a summer only program. If you're summer and school breaks, I need a summer and only program. So I need 2 separate applications.
12 hours per week per child.
12 hours per week per program.
Can we bill Medicaid services for youth we serve for case management or counseling, such as play therapy, etc.?
So I'm not sure how you would set up your programming. That would be actually an agency issue to determine how you would bill for services for that type of program. Even if you were writing under behavioral health services, which is under another portfolio in youth, that would still be up to your agency how you would bill for services. We, however, will be paying you $1,000 per youth for the agencies that for the youth that we serve you, that you serve under our program.
If a student is enrolled at the beginning of 2018, but then quits after 3 months because of moving or other circumstances, do we also count the student as an enrollee for the year?
If the person is in the program for 6 months, then you can only count them as being active in your program while they are in your program. It's always good to have a waiting list so that if one student leaves, you can fill that slot with another one. But you can only count the person for the time that they actually was in your program.
How do I get access to cyber grants?
So what you need to do is go to your RFP, and it is on the very first page of the RFP, and you get to the RFP by going to Department of Family and Sports Services website. That is also a part of the RFP.
Basically, go to the Department of Family and Support Service website, which you can get through the cityofchicago.org, and hit, I think, Government Services and go to our department. After you go there, if you look down at the alerts section, it will have a link to, it will have a link to the RFP, and actually when you open up the link to that RFP, the link to the cyber grants application will be there.
Here it is.
It's also, as Erlene mentioned, it is also in the RFP itself.
So we are going to actually take you to the link so you can see it. But we released the link out to all of our agencies. We always make an announcement in the Sun-Times. The link to cyber grants is the first thing that you actually see on the RFP. But here is the address. Can I see the address, Victor?
Yes.
So Victor has typed in the address to, is that right? Is that where it is?
No.
Hold tight. No.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you see now, here it is. It's on our, this is the city's website. But better yet, let's go to www.cityofchicago.org//FSS. And then it takes you right to where you need to be. There you go. There. This is our website, Family and Support Services, right? Scroll down. So Victor has provided this link to the entire audience, should it be needed. Victor, can you scroll down just a little bit here? Okay, so see May 26th, Chicago Department of Family and Support Services, OST RFP. You click on there. And then it takes you to the first link here is the Cyber Grants link. Click there. That takes you to the registration page.
It's your login. So if you already have an account, then log in.
If you don't have one, at the top it says first time user, create your password.
One thing that I will add is that if you have a Cyber Grants account already, you will not be able to access this application via your Cyber Grants account. You have to go through this link. So a lot of time, at least one person per application calls and says, well, I can't get to the application, and it's because you're trying to get to the application by logging into your Cyber Grants account, and that isn't going to link it to the application. You have to follow the link in the RFP or on our website to get to the application.
So right, and that's on the website. So can we go back, close that, Victor. Let's close that one, and let's go back to, there we go. Now, what you see here, which says download complete RFP, you click there, and voila. Here is the RFP with all of the requirements needed to submit your request for funding. Okay? It also has the link to the Cyber Grants login. And it also has the link to the DFSS web page that we just sent out to you. Okay? So thank you. Good question. We'll go back and answer the rest of our questions. We only have a few more left.
We are considering offering after-school programming for high school students 4 days a week next year, as well as our current services. It would coincide at different times than our other after-school programs. Would we include this in one grant application?
Well, it depends. It depends on if you are seeking additional funding for these youth, or if you are going to say, I'm going to serve, and if it's a different program. So let's say right now, if you get $45,000, you're serving 45 youth, and it's a particular age group that you're seeking to serve, and you only want to use that pot of money for the youth you're serving now, then you, and it doesn't include these other high school youth, then you would have to submit, and you don't want to share that $45,000, then you would have to submit another request for those particular youth for however many you believe you're going to serve. But if you're going to include those youth in your current programming numbers, then you don't need another application.
Question: if our program already provides stipends, could this grant be used to supplement stipends?
No, we do not provide stipends. Well, you know what? Let me take that back. OST traditionally does not provide stipends for youth because of the amount of funding that we are able to provide. And so I get where you're coming from. I think stipends are a great incentive for youth to actually be a part of the program. But historically, that's not how we use our funding. We use our funding to provide programming. Now, we do have another program model, which is called Project Innovation, where there's a combination of programming as well as funding, and we're okay with that because of the amount of funding we're able to give those agencies to provide those services.
If you run a one summer program but offer events outside of the summer dates, can you include that on the RFP?
You know, Yolanda, I'm not sure what that means. We're gonna take you off of mute so you can maybe explain your question. Because if you're offering a summer program only, I'm not sure what the other dates would be. I'm not sure if you want to get funding for those dates. So we're taking you off. Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay, so we run workshops outside of our summer program to supplement. For instance, we do resume interviewing skills as well as financial aid and tax workshops as well for our students who they can either participate in the summer program or just be any student who can participate. Is that something that we can include, that it's part of our outreach in terms of also part of our summer program, or do we have to, we don't include that as part of our costs in the RFP or part of funding for RFP?
So if you're running a summer program and you just want to tell us about all the great things that you do for those youth as a part of your summer program, that's great. If that's what you mean, that's not a problem for us. That just adds more credence to what you're trying to get funding for. Does that make sense?
Yes. Thank you.
All right. No, you're welcome. Thank you.
What is the definition of out of school time during the school year? Is it 3 to 6 p.m.? Is it flexible?
Yeah, it is. So let me say that out of school time is activities when youth are not in school. So we have some out of school time programs that operate on Saturdays, which we love because that means that youth have, you know, opportunities to be someplace other than, you know, and being in a structured activity. We have some programs that operate at 7 to 8 o'clock at night, which, you know, we think that's great because, again, youth, as long as parents are aware where their youth are and they are possibly picking them up and making sure they get home safe, or the agency is, we hope, then there is that flexibility. It doesn't have to be locked in between 3 to 6. It could be from, you know, 5 to 7. You know, it could be from 6 to 9. I mean, it, you know, out of school time is out of school time. Monday, it can be Monday through Saturday. Yes.
Is proof of insurance, workers' comp, etc. needed at the time of the proposal submission?
Proof of insurances At the time of submission, yes. I'm not sure about workers' comp. Workers' comp, I don't think is necessary, but if you are funded, you definitely have to have workers' comp, because if you don't, the comptrollers will not release any money to you. But you do have to have proof of insurance at the time of the time you submit your RFP.
All this stuff is probably better outlined in the legal section of the RFP under insurance requirements.
Would a youth employment program be considered for this grant?
Well, if you go back to our outline in the RFP and we talk about the categories, one of the categories we talk about is more so employment preparedness, not youth employment per se. Our youth employment kind of like falls up under our youth employment program that is run by Lisa Davis in the Youth Employment Portfolio.
Is the $1,000 per youth the annual rate regardless of which type of programming offered, summer only, school day, school year, etc.?
Yes.
Or is it the prorated by total hours per year?
No. There's a flat $1,000 per youth, whether you operate any of the programming models, school year, summer and school breaks, project-based.
Do you encourage collaboration among city agencies?
Absolutely. We love to see that. I think I gave an example of that earlier.
I believe this is the question for Julia. Do we need to provide another board authorization for contract negotiation letter with this application if we are a current grantee and are applying for funding for 2018?
Theoretically, you'll have it all. It will already be in your account, like your cyber grants account. You will have uploaded that, and you should just be able to click it for this application.
Did you hear that, Cheryl? Wave your hand if you heard that. Want to make sure.
Can you give an example programs for 19 to 24-year-olds that are no longer in school?
Yes. We have a couple programs right now under our portfolio that speak to your question, Tanisha. One of which is a program called Communities United, where they offer youth a bike repair program, and youth actually learn how to put bikes together, and you know, they can look towards that type of learning tool as employment. And then we have another program, Centers for New Horizons, who I spoke about earlier, who's actually offering a food service program where youth have the opportunity to get their food certification certificates and are able to find employment.
Is admin...
Excuse me, and let me just say this, because someone had asked about stipends. One of those programs offers stipends, one of them does not. And to be quite honest, and I apologize, I'd have to go back and see for certain if they're using our funding for it.
Is admin calculated based on total budget or direct?
Total budget.
Do you anticipate releasing a mentoring RFP as well?
So, hi Leah, that's a really good question. So under the Enrichment Portfolio, again, we only have out of school time, Chicago Housing Authority, CHA, and Project Innovation. We will be issuing behavioral health services, mentoring, and the other programs that are under our portfolio. All of those will be addressed by Kia in the Prevention Intervention Strategy portfolio, and we're looking at that sometime this year. Those of you that received those fundings that used to be in our out-of-school time portfolio, now Enrichment Portfolio, you will be contacted by our Deputy Commissioner and Kia Coleman, who now has that acutely at-risk portfolio. So your funding right now, you're good, and I believe until December 31, 2017. However, you won't be left hanging. You will get information about those program models shortly.
Do you want me to start reading questions?
We service and recruit from multiple Chicagoland communities due to our central location in the Chicago Loop. Can we write our RFP to service students from the multiple areas that we are servicing, since we have relationships with these students already?
Absolutely, yes.
If we are a current provider and we're funded for serving 35 youth and we are serving more than 35, can we apply for more funding to serve the number that we are serving, or is there a max of 35?
Nope, there's not a max of 35. Our funding is actually from 20,000 to 85,000, so you can request the amount based on the number of youth that you serve.
Is there a cap, like $34,999 for each school-based program?
You know, that's an interesting question, Kevin, because we are seeking, you know, to move our base. One of our biggest challenges really is being able to provide more dollars to our agencies. I mean, that is our biggest challenge, because we would truly like to give more money. I mean, we're currently serving 189 programs, and so we spread that, you know, those millions of dollars out to as many people as we possibly can. So that being said, you know, we looked at, like last year, we looked at behavioral health services and we tried to raise the bar to 45,000. So we're trying to raise the bar now for our summer programs to come in at, I think, 20 or 25,000. I have to look at my my notes, but I think we raised our bar to 20 or 25,000 for those that qualified. We raised our year-round funding from 35 to 45,000. So we were hoping, if we have the money, because we don't always have the money, if we have the money, we'd like to bring agencies in for year-round at 45, and so eventually get everyone up to 45 for year-round funding. And then for school year funding, bring everyone up at 35. Now, we have some people right now that are at 30 in their school year, but there were a lot of factors that took you into that. But we don't want to keep being, you know, a funder that never increases your funding and always keeps you at the same level. Our funding is always based on who is on our dollars that we have. Last year, the mayor gave us $1 million. We took $500,000 and we increased our our project innovation portfolio to bring in 10 more agencies, and now that portfolio is $1 million with 10 agencies. We took the other $500,000 and we raised people up who qualified to receive additional dollars. So we really are seeking as much as possible to provide additional dollars. So no, Kevin, great question. There is no cap we're seeking to increase the cap of what we can actually fund.
Does programming have to be inside a school, or can it be a community center?
So our agencies are community-based operations, so they provide services to youth at their community site. So if you're located, you know, at 1615 West Chicago Avenue and you want to run a program there, you can run a program there. Or 1615 West Chicago Avenue can be your admin site and you run a program, you know, at the Noble School, that high school down the street. So you have the option of doing both, or either or.
What if there are multiple schools we serve in the area?
Then you can write a proposal for one of those schools or for a couple of those schools.
Should we apply for one RFP or per community area?
It depends on how much money that you ask for. It probably should be per, if it's two different communities, it should be per community area.
Given the answer about multiple schools, is it still okay to submit one RFP for a single program hosted at 2 locations owned by an agency?
Yes.
Many of our programs are mixed income beneficiary based. Are OST funds specifically for low income youth, or can they be used for all youth in the program?
We target low income youth. Of course, you may have a few youth in there who are considered mixed income. I'm sure you don't want to turn any of your youth away, but those are the youth that we actually target our funding for.
Is the total amount of funding available for out-of-school time programs for 2018 greater than the amount that has been available for 2017?
So we got a $500,000 boost in out-of-school time programs. We spread those out to agencies who qualified for additional funding. So the amount of funding for 2018 has increased. And so the way we give our funding is, if the mayor gives us more money, we have more money to allocate for the following year. If agencies actually drop out because they can no longer run a program, if agencies are not running a program to meet the performance rating and we reduce their funding or don't fund them at all, that's how we're able to bring new agencies in and or increase funding.
After submitting a proposal, when are agencies notified that they have been selected?
October or December of 2017.
How does the project-based program work? And does it have to be additional youth? If so, what is the rate per youth?
The rate per youth is $1,000. It works for agencies that are currently funded under out-of-school time, OST, and are qualified to run a project-based program. Just suppose you are doing some sort of music program, and just say you're doing a keyboard program, and you find that it's the same group of youth, because it's the same group of youth, you want to do something special for them, like bring in maybe 9 or 10 weeks of intense programming on keyboards, or maybe you want to expose them to some sort of string instrument, some sort of lecture series, then you would ask for an additional $5,000 or $10,000 and run a program for 9 or 10 weeks for those particular youth. Just suppose you're a cultural arts program and you're doing something along the lines of theater, and you want to do something specifically as it relates to stage and set design. And so you bring someone in to teach the youth that, to build a stage and set design for a play or something that you're hosting. That's how you use project-based. Yes, this recording will be posted, and we will be sending out the RFP to everyone who registered today. the PowerPoint. Sorry.
It was hard to hear Julia's explanation about the login question. Can it be repeated?
Why don't you email me?
So Stacy, email Julia at julia@talbot@cityofchicago.org, and she will answer your question about the login. But just for others, because if others didn't hear it, then if you didn't hear it, maybe others didn't hear it. So as it relates to the login, if you currently have a Cyber Grants login, that is not the login email and password that you should use. Your email and password is separate, and it should be what should it be?
What?
The login. Should it be the current login and password that they've used in the past?
Yeah, to get to the application, go to the application link. Do not log in via your account because that will not take you to the application. That's all.
That's okay. So let us know if you heard that. So we can make sure that, in fact, we'll just type that answer out and send to everyone.
Is it allowable for two organizations to collaborate on a program, potentially with one being the lead grantee and the other being a subcontractor, or is there another preferred partnership structure?
So it's great. Two organizations can collaborate, and in two organizations collaborating, one person will have to be the, what word am I looking for? Will have to be the lead agency, and that's the person that will receive the funds. So you can write a proposal, and you can include the person you're going to collaborate with, but one person will be the fiscal agent for the grant.
What is our proposal? What if our proposal said 30 kids and we end up recruiting 40? Can we increase it later?
So if we fund your proposal and we fund it for 30 children, and you have 40, our funding is only going to be for 30 children. But we always think that our funding is really supplemental dollars. And so you should have other funding to support your program, and that would take care of those 40 youth who you are including in the program. Wait a minute, you deleted something. That was a good question. It's something about drop-in. The question was something about, can the program be a drop-in? And no, this is not a drop-in. We are expecting youth to get dosage of 12 hours. So I'm sorry, I apologize, but we deleted that accidentally. And I think it was something about, can the program be a drop-in program? But no, out of school time is not a drop-in program. Project Innovation RP being issued soon. We just we released the Project Innovation RFP on March 1 of 2017 this year. People had to have their application closed, I think April 1, somewhere around 25, 30 days thereafter the release on March 1st. We have selected those 10 agencies, and we won't open up the application again until 2018.
So the 12 hours a week from January to June also has to be out of school time?
Minimum of 12 hours for school year, school-based, school year only. 6 hours, 5 days a week for summer and school breaks.
Since traditionally youth have been graduated by 19, are we able to work with college students?
That's an interesting question. So our programming does work with youth that are 19 to 24, but in specific, context. So Tanisha, email me and we can have a dialogue about that. Because college students, are not considered involved in out-of-school time programming. So email me your thoughts about what it is you're trying to do. But no, it's not college students.
In cyber grants, there does not appear to be a section to enter project title and application amount. For multiple submissions, how do we label or name the separate proposals?
So what you do, Jeremy, is you complete one application, you go out, you submit, and you complete another one. That's a multiple application that you're trying to fulfill. Wait.
Clarify, if we are applying for just a summer program, school break, that is okay, correct?
Yes, it is. So the answer to that question is yes. Yes, you can do summer/school breaks, and you will run programming during the summer. So your program will be somewhere between 9 and 11 weeks, because you'll run during the summer, and then you'll run during, like some of our programs say, well, you know what, I'll run during the summer, and I'm going to run those full 2 weeks when they're off in December, or I'm going to run summer, and I'm going to run 1 week in December, because some of our CPS is now doing like the last week in December and the first week in January. So programs are doing like a full summer, and they're doing like 1 week in December, and they're doing like the 1 week for spring, right? So it's somewhere between like a full like 9 and 11 weeks, because they kind of like run a 9-week summer program or 8-week summer program, but it's somewhere within that ratio.
Ready?
Yeah, we're ready.
Do you know whether there are any upcoming RFPs being announced under youth employment?
No, not this year. And if you need some information about that, Chiara, you need to reach out to Lisa, Lisa Davis. So it's lisa.davis@cityofchicago, all spelled out, .org. And she can give you an update on our Youth Services Division youth employment programs.
Did the agencies that did not receive the Project Innovation Grant receive notification?
No, not yet, but we are in the process of doing that. By next week, everyone will know where they currently stand with the Project Innovation RFP that was released earlier this year.
Following up on drop-in, does a seat need to be filled by the same young person the whole year?
So again, you may have a person that comes, and for whatever the reason, they were there with you for the first like 3 months, 5 months, and then, they're gone. If we fund you for 35 youth, we expect you to have 35 youth in the program. So it's your responsibility to fill that person's seat. And so remember, we require an 80% average daily attendance. So I always say sometimes it's much more easier to recruit a youth than it is to retain a youth. And so you want to make sure your program is a quality program so that you have no problems with enrollment, and you clearly have no problems with retention, so that you can meet that average daily attendance of 80%. I think we may have raised the bar to 85%. So that being said, I want to thank everyone who hung in there with us this afternoon, or early this morning. I apologize. We're moving up towards the afternoon. I hope that you got great information. I'm looking forward to your RFPs. Remember, 12 noon, June 2nd. If you have any questions on the admin side, please email Julia. Email me all of your program questions. It's our attempt to make sure that we respond within 24 hours. And sometimes if Julia doesn't respond, I'll respond, and vice versa. So have a great weekend, everybody, and thank you. Take care. Bye.